We'll get started in just a second, guys. All right, you guys, we're going to get started. So go ahead and turn your screens on so I can give you attendance, please. Just take an attendance really quick and then we'll start. All right, just a few announcements. Obviously, we are set to be all online this week. It might come down to that we are going to stay online, just seeing how things start going with COVID and things of that nature, just so we can keep you guys safe, all that kind of stuff. We have completed the majority of our course, okay? So the last thing that we need to do is not
really necessary to do in class, we can slowly go through it. And if for some reason we can't distribute an exam in class, we will just do it online. It's really not that big of a deal. The last exam you guys have is not going to be nearly as long as the other exams. I want to say there's about 7 or 8 case study questions, okay, with just equations, and that's about it. So it's not going to be as extensive as your other exams have been. So we will figure it out and we will get through it. Anybody have any questions about any of that stuff? Nope. Okay. I have just one more exam to grade of the ones that from you that have taken it. So I will get those grades into Blackboard ASAP. For those of you that have not taken it, obviously reach out to me and we will figure out a time that you guys can do it. Don't totally stress over it now. We will definitely figure it out. Okay. All right. If you guys have no questions, then we're just going to start. As always, if you guys do have questions, just stop me and we will go over them. Lecture should not take very long today. This is all stuff that you guys have probably gone over before in other classes. Okay, so for our last unit, we are going to go over musculoskeletal fitness measurements. And then did anyone ask a question?
Yeah, I can't see your screen.
Can everyone else see my screen? Okay, Rakeem, it's because you're on your phone, so you might have, if you can always sign out, okay, and then try to sign back in. All right, why don't you try that? All right, so we're going to go over musculoskeletal fitness measurements today, and then we were going to go over some flexibility stuff on Wednesday, and that will be the completion of your course. So you guys are almost done, so hang in there, okay? All right. Let's go over the slides really quick. Stop me if you guys have any questions. Okay, so musculoskeletal fitness is obviously associated with numerous health benefits. Okay, it reduces the risk of heart disease, osteoporosis, diabetes, and musculoskeletal injuries. Okay, any type of exercise that you guys are doing should be helping with heart disease. Obviously, more lean muscle mass would mean you should have less fat mass, okay, osteoporosis, things like that. As we are working out, obviously our muscles are pulling on our bone, helping to grow our bone and keep them strong. It helps regulate your glucose, your blood sugar, so it's going to help with diabetes. And obviously musculoskeletal injuries. I know we all have injuries throughout our lives, but the stronger your muscles are around your joint and the stronger your ligaments and your tendons are, the stronger your joints should actually be. So there are a lot of benefits to musculoskeletal fitness, okay? It's also associated with improved ability to complete activities of daily living, directly related to improved quality of life. So if you guys are thinking about activities of daily living, things like sitting, standing, walking up the stairs, carrying objects, pulling objects up, picking things up off the floor, all of those can somewhat correlate into musculoskeletal fitness. And if you guys are doing a resistance training routine, okay? So even as this is most important, especially as individuals age, okay? So as individuals about 60 or 65 and over, they really want to focus on musculoskeletal fitness as well to improve those activities of daily living so they can keep doing what they do throughout their lives. Okay. The definition by the ACSM, which is the American College of Sports Medicine, is musculoskeletal fitness is a combination of muscular strength as well as muscular endurance. Okay. So your muscular strength is producing a large amount of force and it's generated in a single contraction. So think about trying to be able to lift the maximum amount of weight that you possibly can with the correct form. Okay, as opposed to muscular endurance is the ability to exert those submaximal forces repeatedly over time. Okay, so you're lifting a little bit less weight, but you're able to repeatedly use those forces and muscular contractions to lift that weight. Do you guys remember in your other classes, if you guys were doing, say, a resistance training routine, how many sets and reps you would have for something that was considered strength? Does anybody remember that?
Wasn't like, go ahead.
No, you good. Go ahead, boss. Tell you.
I was probably wrong anyway. That's why. Wasn't it like 5 reps to like you have to do in order to prove that you can actually like lift it? Or am I thinking of like maxing out?
So 5 reps is within it. So the reps should be anywhere between 2 to 6. So yes, you are in there. How about those sets? Do you guys remember how many sets of reps we would do?
3.
It was 2 to 4. So yeah, 3 is in there as well. Okay. And then what about muscular endurance? Do you guys remember that?
Muscular endurance was low weight, high rep. So you do.
Sorry, I think you cut out. So if you said it, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it because my computer cut out. But so yes, you do higher repetitions and lower weight. So your repetitions would be anywhere from 12 to 20. Okay. And then your sets would be anywhere from 2 to 3. Okay. The only reason I want you guys to think about this is because once we get into the assessments, it'll make a little bit more sense. So yeah, when we're working on strength, we're trying to obviously lift greater amounts of weight, but we're going to have to be using lower repetitions and also have a longer rest period because we are taxing that energy system, okay, that CP system, and then also our anaerobic glycolysis system, okay? So we need to obviously have longer rest periods and obviously endurance. Okay, it is just like it sounds. If you guys are running for endurance outside, it's kind of the same thing with resistance training. So lower reps for a longer period of time. Okay, any questions on any of that stuff? Like I said, this is all stuff that you guys have pretty much had at some point throughout your classes at CCSJ. Okay, so muscular strength assessments. Okay, so there's no single assessment, but it measures total body strength, but it must be specific to the muscle group. Okay, so what that means is if I can't test my overall muscular strength within my body, I have to have separate tests for that. So if I'm testing upper body strength, maybe I would be doing a bench press test. If I'm testing lower body strength, I would either be doing a squat max test, or obviously if we are using a squat machine to do, or a leg press machine, I'm sorry, to do those types of things. Okay. When we are doing a or a strength assessment, okay, the ACSM has put out standard guidelines of the 6 things that are very important for you actually to do this. Okay. So in order for your strength assessment to count and to be done properly to get the correct results, obviously every individual needs to maintain proper technique. Okay. No one should ever be doing any form of assessment of any kind if proper technique is not involved. So that needs to come first. Obviously consistent repetition, duration, or movement speed. Okay. So what we mean by that is you're keeping the same speed. Okay. We don't want to be doing, say, tempo sets where we're going down super, super slow, then coming up fast. You want to keep that nice repetitive speed. Okay. Full range of motion. So if I am doing a squat assessment, what do you think my full range of motion is? What do I go down to? Do any of you guys remember?
Probably just, usually you just put a seat there or whatever it is, and you just go down to that and then come back up slowly to contract.
So yes, so that's basically it, but it would be 90 degrees. Okay, so like you guys would be parallel sitting to the ground, exactly like sitting in a chair. Okay, so you'd be going to 90 degrees. And when you guys are doing bench assessments, same thing, your elbows are coming down to 90 degrees. So just something to think about if we're thinking about that full range of motion. If we were only able to do less on, say, a squat assessment, that repetition wouldn't count. So this is why we need to make sure that we have that full range of motion. Okay. Obviously the use of spotters. So if we're doing a maximal strength assessment, you guys got to think about it in terms of having spotters there, even if we are using a machine like a leg press, in order to help out and obviously keep the tester obviously safe. Okay. Familiarization with equipment. Okay. This kind of goes along with proper technique and those things of that nature. If you are not familiar with the equipment, you obviously should not be doing the test. You need to familiarize yourself with that equipment at first to make sure, for safety reasons, and obviously that you have proper technique. And one of the most important things, obviously, in everything that we do, we need to make sure that we have a proper warm up. Okay. If we are doing a maximal test, we need to warm our body up, okay, in order to raise our body temperature, our muscle temperature, our breathing rate, our heart rate, all that stuff, to all those sorts of things to prepare us for the actual assessment that we are going to use. Okay. Questions on any of that stuff thus far? Okay. Obviously, muscular strength can be assessed using dynamic or static assessments. So your dynamic assessment is going to be the traditional moving through the entire full range of motion. Okay, you can also have other static assessments, which we will get into if you guys have never done these before, which are basically isometric strength tests. So think like a grip test, if you guys have ever used one of those machines for a grip test. So that would be your isometric type of strength assessment. Dynamic, you're moving through that full range of motion. Okay, so one rep max testing. Have any of you guys ever actually done a full out 1 rep max test, whether it be a squat, bench press, or leg press? Has anybody ever done that? Okay, like I said, say it again.
I think,
Yep.
yeah, I think I did something like that.
I know we did some, if you guys didn't, any of you took my CPT class last year, we tried to do 1 rep max testing, but we did the repetition maximum instead of going to the actual 1 rep max, which we will talk about. It's not the easiest thing in the world. It is definitely something that is, you need to be trained for, and you need to know what you are doing in order to actually perform the test properly. But it is that much more accurate, in my opinion, and other people's opinions as well, than doing a repetition maximum. So you just have to make sure you have the base behind it and you are actually able to do it safely with proper form. Okay, so it's technically considered the gold standard, which is what my entire runaround here was, the gold standard for strength testing. Okay, so a client must have great form, otherwise there's an increased risk of injury, just like everything that we've just talked about. Okay, the procedure can be applied to free weights or machines. Okay, so whether you're using a bar, dumbbells, or a leg press machine, lat pull down machine, you can also use that if you're doing a 1 rep max test for that. Like I said, for bench press, leg press, I'll go into the other ones right here. You can also do 1 rep max testing for things like bicep curl, tricep extension, lat pull down, and leg extension and leg curl. Those aren't as common as other ones. I have never done bicep curl or tricep extension max out testing, obviously, because in my opinion, it's more important to obviously have the larger muscle groups that we are testing for that. Lat pull down, I have done. And then leg extension and leg curl, I am somewhat against this one. Obviously, everybody might have different opinions, but if you guys are using a leg extension machine, it's great to work on your strength, but you have to think about how much stress it's really putting on that patellar tendon when you are doing that. And in my opinion, the leg extension and leg curl machine are more for rehab purposes, endurance, and maybe building a little bit of hypertrophy. But everybody is different, and there's different reasons that people are doing these testing for. Okay, so in order for a client to estimate their 1 rep max, okay, we're gonna have a warm up of 5 to 10 reps. Okay, so if you are doing a bench press, let's say, if you are doing that bench press, you're actually gonna do 5 to 10 repetitions at 40 to 60% of your 1 rep max. Okay, the issue with this is you have to know the type of weight that you are able to actually lift. So if you're an avid lifter or you're an athlete, you probably know your percentages. If this is someone new that's doing this, they may have to take more steps altogether to get to that 1 rep max test because they need to figure out what weights they can lift. The issue with that is it should only take about 4 sets of warm-ups and things like that to get to your 1 rep max test. Okay, you have to remember this is an all-out effort. Okay, so if you are using more repetitions to get to that because you're trying to find your weight, you are taxing your body way too much, and then in turn you're going to need to rest more and results might be skewed. Okay, so after your warm-up, you're going to go to a 1 minute rest. Obviously, we need to remember we have to rest a little bit. You're going to have your second set, which is going to be 3 to 5 reps to 60 to 80% of your 1 rep max. So now you have dropped down the repetitions and lifted up the intensity, lifted up that weight. Okay. You're going to rest 3 full minutes. Okay. Make sure our energy is back. Okay. And then you're going to do set 3, which should be 1 rep. Okay. At 90 to 95% of your 1 rep max. Okay. If you were at this stage and you guys did 1 rep and you could easily put out another 2 or 3 repetitions, then you know that you are not at that 90 percentile of your 1 rep max. Okay. So this is where I'm saying it's a great test to do, but you have to know your percentages and be a little and more aware of it before you can actually just jump into it. Okay. For comparing results, so clients can compare their own data. So it's going to be the actual weight lifted from one test to the next. So this is a great test to use. Doesn't matter if you're an athlete or you're just strength training, or you're just someone that's getting some more lean muscle mass, losing weight, anything along those lines. It's great to have this data to see where you start. You have a base, you go through a program, you can test again in the middle, see where you're at to see if your program is working, what you need to change. And then obviously, again, test at the end. So if you guys were actually doing 1 rep max testing, you should have three different testing rotations. 1 in the beginning, 1 in the middle, and then 1 at the end, regardless of what, if you were just a regular client or if you were an athlete. Okay. So your normative values are based on relative strength. So what your relative strength is the weight that's lifted compared to your body mass. So if you guys have also heard of absolute strength, if we're measuring that, is just clearly the amount of weight that you can lift regardless of your body weight. Okay. Which in turn isn't the most informative and effective way to look at it. This is why we look at relative strength. We see how much weight someone can lift in relation to their actual body mass. Okay. So the way we find this is just taking our 1 rep max weight and we divide it by our body weight. Okay. It's either both in pounds or kilograms. We are going to be using kilograms. Okay. We've been doing SI units throughout this entire class. So obviously if we're doing everything in, testing things in pounds, okay, then we have to make sure that we are converting it into kilograms, okay? But pretty simple, it's just the amount of weight that you lift and you divide it by your body weight, okay? Any confusion on that, or are we okay with that? Okay, all right. So then obviously you have your 1 rep max versus predicting your 1 rep max. What that means is your 1 rep max is the actual testing to lift 1 rep max, okay? If you are not going all the way up to 1 repetition, say you are going up to 5 repetitions, then you are basically estimating what your 1 rep max would be. Okay, so there is a thing called a repetition maximum. Okay, so you're doing basically the same test, but you're going anywhere from 5 to 10 repetitions, and then you are estimating what your 1 rep max would be. What do you guys think would be more accurate? Estimating it or actually going all the way through to get your 1 rep max?
Going all the way through it.
Going all the way through. I mean, it's the end all result. It's your max effort. Obviously, if you can do it properly, that's a great way to do it. Now, if I was estimating my 1 rep max, would I want to get closer to 5 repetitions or 10 repetitions to be more accurate? What do you guys think? I see Julian holding up 5. So yeah, okay. Yeah, you would want to get closer to 5. The more, the higher you can get to your max out, the more accurate it should be. If I'm talking in terms of more accurate, if we are a regular client and we are just working on our strength, we've started at point A, this is fairly a new thing to us, doing our repetition maximum is probably much easier. There's no reason to really go to our full on 1 rep max. Okay. I believe that a 1 rep max is better to use if you actually have that strength base. Okay. Or if you are, say, a power lifter or anything along those lines, or an athlete in like you guys in the college setting. I'm not sure if you guys use 1 rep max testing. Okay. But it's definitely more geared towards that from a safety perspective kind of thing. Okay. So we literally just talked about this. When we actually go into our labs, you will have table 12.6, and I will be able to show you what we are talking about. But so this is one of the ways that you guys can see, like if you did 5 repetitions right here, it's technically 87% of your 1 rep max. Okay. So using these charts to kind of figure out where you're at, if you're trying to find out, what percentages you guys are at, this is a good one to look at. So see, obviously if we're at 5 and we're at 87%, if we go all the way to 10 repetitions, we're only 75% of our 1 rep maximum. So the closer we can get to that 95, 100% maximum, the more accurate that our test will be. Okay. Questions on those maximal strength assessments? Nope. Okay. Like I said, pretty straightforward, guys. Okay, so isometric strength tests. Once we get into our labs, you guys, I'm going to send you some videos on this because I'm not sure if you guys have ever actually done this before, but so it's basically one of the biggest things is measuring your hand or your hand grip strength. Okay, your hand grip strength actually correlates to the amount of weight that you can lift. Okay, so technically, the stronger your hand grip strength is, the more weight you should be able to lift. If you think about it, if I'm doing a deadlift and I'm trying to lift the bar off the floor, or even if I'm holding the bar and doing a bench press, okay, I need to have a strong hand grip strength. Okay, if I don't, I'm not going to be able to hold up that weight. So sometimes you can see in like super heavy weightlifting, people have those straps to hold their hands on the bars. Those are really okay. Obviously, if you're getting up into the uppers of like 300, 400 pounds, okay, you will see some individuals using that, especially if they have weaker wrists and things of that. If I were to ever get up to that weight, I have a really bad left wrist, I would probably have to use hand grips as well, okay? But technically, so your hand grip strength accounts for 60% of your overall strength. That's a lot if you think about it, okay? For things like pull exercises. And it's assessed with an isometric dynamometer. I never say that word right. So if you guys have ever seen one of those things, and like I said, I'll send you a video, you actually squeeze it and you hold it, and it has a little arrow that goes up that will take your actual hand grip strength, okay? It measures peak force generated by the grip. Okay, so your stronger grip allows for heavier lifting. Okay, we don't really need to sit here and dwell on this more. It's pretty simple to think about it. I just want you guys to remember that your hand grip strength accounts for 60% of your overall strength when you guys are doing pull exercises. Okay, like our deadlifts and things like that. Okay, questions on isometric strength assessments? Okay, cool. All right, we are almost done, guys. Okay, so muscular endurance assessments. Okay, so we've gone over the strength assessments now. Now we have the muscular endurance assessments, okay? So there's two types of assessments, okay? So we have assessments performing reps to actual fatigue. So you're basically doing reps until you cannot do it anymore, okay? Or you're holding max contraction to fatigue, okay? So you guys have probably all at some point heard of the YMCA bench press protocol. Okay, we will go through all of these things. If you have not heard about it in this class, I'm sure you've heard about it in one of Professor Stone's classes. Hopefully you guys remember. But the YMCA bench press protocol assesses muscular endurance. Okay, so it's upper body push muscles. And technically you are doing a bench press to 60 beats per minute. Okay, so it's 1 beat up, 1 beat down, 1 beat up, 1 beat down. Okay, men, when you guys are doing this, you are using 80 pounds. When women are performing this assessment, they're using 35 pounds. Okay, so it is a set standard of weight for this. You are not raising the weight up or down. You're using that set standard. And then you have to go to certain beats per minute to get your predictions, okay? So there's a prediction equation that is used to estimate your 1 rep max, or you simply record the reps and you compare it to a table that we have. I don't have it for you this second, but when we actually do this, you'll compare it to the table. So this is a pretty easy test for anybody to do, okay? Because even if you have 30, say a female's doing it, even she has 30 pounds and she can only do it 4 times, that's it. Then we just plug it into the formula or we compare it to the actual chart that we have. So pretty easy for anybody to do this assessment. In my opinion, it's probably more important to do this assessment first if you have a beginning client before you do the strength assessment. Okay, there's also a push-up test. Okay, so the client basically performs push-ups to failure, okay, or until no longer being able to perform with proper form. Okay, so males are just doing a regular push-up. Females are doing what a lot of people call girly push-ups, if you want to call it that. That's technically not politically correct. So they're just push-ups on your knees, and all you are doing is doing push-ups continually until you cannot do it anymore. Okay, so this one you are using your body weight as opposed to the bench press protocol where males are using 80 pounds, women are using 35 pounds. Okay, Does anybody have any questions over any of the stuff that we just went over today? Okay. This is all pretty straightforward stuff. I know that you have touched on this in other classes that you have taken if you are a kinesiology major. I believe maybe there's a few of you that have not. So if you are confused on this, please reach out to me. Okay. I will send videos. We will go through all this together. But what I want you guys to focus on for this portion of this class is obviously being able to look at the data, okay, that or if you're the person that's giving the assessment, be able to test and see what the individual gets, being able to take that number, plug it into an equation, finding the data, and being able to read on a chart how we need to interpret that data for future use for our clients. Okay. All right. If you guys have no more questions before you leave, let me make sure I just take attendance again and I haven't missed anybody. Okay. For Wednesday, we will be online again. Okay. We're going to go over flexibility. Okay. Then you guys are going to have a nice, good week off. And then we literally have 2 weeks left and we are done with the semester. So it's going to go fast, but it shouldn't be as stressful if it was stressful for you guys in the beginning. Okay. Make sure you guys continue working on late work. I know I'm not accepting some of it anymore, but if you guys have not turned in lab 7, 8, those types of things, make sure you guys get it in. As always, reach out to me if you guys have questions. Okay. Especially if you guys have not taken your exam, just reach out to me so we can figure out a time for you guys to take it. Okay. I'll stick around for a few minutes after. Otherwise, I will see you guys on Wednesday. Have a good day.